each other through it. Come on and see, good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. If you have listened to the podcast the last couple of weeks, then you may already know that our home was very close to the wildfire. If you're not familiar, the wildfire is the largest fire in the recorded history of the state of Nebraska. It burned close to 650,000 acres, and it came within 5 miles of our home. Tom and I were on last week talking about our experiences and kind of what we see moving forward and some concerns that we had and hopes that we have and all of that. We recorded that on Wednesday night, March 25th. We went to bed at around 10:30 that night, and at 11:23 p.m., our pager went off, and it was a fire call. And they said that the fire was initially, they thought it was north of Ashby. Someone who was night calving called it in. They weren't really sure where it was. They could just see the glow. We had dry lightning that night. So the fire department went out, and as it would turn out, there were a few fires that started. There was one on a ranch that neighbors us. There was one on a ranch further east of us, and there was one here that started on this ranch. The one that started here on this ranch would go on to be called the Ashby Fire because it went ahead and went north and jumped the highway and burned in the village of Ashby. And it went a little further north, and then the winds shifted and it started pushing the fire back south. And although that was great because it took the fire away from the village, it pushed it towards our house. Thankfully, our house is okay, and our animals that I wasn't able to take with us that night. Our son was at state FFA, so he was safe far away in Lincoln. The girls and I got sprinklers going. We got the dogs loaded. We grabbed some things out of the tack room that we had unloaded from our last evacuation, and we headed to town. I was not able to get the horses. This time I did not have enough drivers, and the horses were out in the pasture. They were not in the corrals. So I opened the corrals up so that they could at least get into the sandy pens, and hopefully that would keep them safe. But they were safe. Our house was safe. It did get a fair bit closer to our house than the wildfire. It was within 3,000 feet. Later, after things had settled down, Tom told me, he said, I'm really not sure that we could have saved our house if it hadn't been for the Black Hawk helicopters. They were dipping into the lakes around and pouring water. And he said at one point, somebody had gotten stuck. And so he was getting the tractor ready, and he heard a big pop boom, and he turned around, and the hay feeder that he had just unhooked fell off the block. And then he heard another one like that, another sound like that. He turned around, and it was a Black Hawk helicopter dumping water directly onto our house. So we're very, very, very grateful for everyone who was out here fighting the fire, everyone who has donated, prayed, sent all the positive vibes, come and volunteered, thought of us, all the things, thought of our community. Like, I can't begin to describe how grateful I am for all of the support shown to our community, and also how grateful I am for the community that we live in. That being said, I'm worried. I have concerns moving forward with the amount of trauma that we have experienced as a community within the last 3 weeks, the month of March. I have concerns. And right now, outward looking in, it looks like we're all doing okay. We might think we're feeling okay. We're doing the things. We're getting the cattle moved where they need to be. We're getting things fed. We're calving. We're putting up new fence. All the things. We're doing all the things, and we're doing life, and we're getting along. But I'm afraid about what happens when things really, truly start to settle down and we're not just putting our heads down and powering through. And part of what makes me concerned about that is my own personal experience. Back in 2020, pandemic, that was a trauma all on its own. But my life in 2020, my day-to-day life did not change that much. We don't live in a city. I didn't have to wear masks all that often. We didn't really have to socially distance that hardcore because we're already naturally socially distanced out here. But what changed is the workload. In 2020, we were shorthanded here on the ranch, and Tom and I were essentially calving 2 herds of cows, the 2 of us, and then we had day worker. And that was a lot. It was a lot. And it was that way from the end of April, basically, through October of 2020. And there was just so much work and so much stress from not only the pandemic. I mean, that obviously caused a little bit of stress, but then being so short-handed. Like, I look at pictures of myself from 2020 and I'm like, girl, you need to eat a sandwich, because there was no time to eat. And even if there was time, I didn't feel like it, because I had my head down and I was powering through and I was doing what I needed to do for the animals and for my family and for the land. And I was doing the dang thing. And then in October, when we filled the position on the camp south of us, and I had worked with the family that moved in there for one day, we weaned the herd of cows down there. And that was like their first day that we all worked together. I had met them, but hadn't worked with them yet. But that day we worked together. And I knew everything was going to be all right. They were going to be a good fit. They knew what they were doing. I didn't have to carry that weight of the extra work, the extra herd, the extra land, stewarding all of that. And that is when the shit hit the fan, so to speak, for me. That is when I felt the effects of everything that I had been carrying for those however many months. April to October, 6 months. Is that 6 months? I don't even know. That period of time. And I'm getting a little emotional talking about it, because you think, like, when you're going through the thing, that's when it will be shitty. That's when it will be bad. That's when it will be hard. That's when it will feel like you are carrying this weight. But it doesn't, because our bodies and our nervous systems are designed to do what they need to do to keep us going and to keep us safe. And it isn't until the threat has passed that it hits us like a ton of bricks. And that's exactly what happened to me in 2020. That's when my anxiety welled up. That's when I started getting tight chest, so tight that it was hard to breathe. Was not during the hard thing. It was after. It was when there was safety. And that is what concerns me about the traumas that we've just been through. It's not right now, because quite frankly, we're still in it. We're in a red flag warning. Monday night, we were forecast for dry lightning. Everybody's on edge. Like, things have not calmed down. Even though the flames have calmed down, everything else is still full bunny, full throttle. I'm concerned for when things throttle down, when we're going turtle, when things feel safe again, because that is when this is going to hit. That is when we're going to start to feel the effects. Now, I'm not saying we're not feeling the effects right now. We're physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. And once we can slow down and feel safe, then I'm very concerned for what happens then. So, what did I do? Back in 2020, I still thought I could do all this pretty much by myself. So, what I did was I started doing some intentional breathing, and that really, really helped. And I also started diving into some self-awareness and kind of exploring what makes me tick. What's behind my responses, my reactions? That's kind of when I really got deep into, well, I was already kind of deep into it, but I started getting deeper into the Enneagram and my own self-awareness. And I got pretty good at intellectualizing my feelings and emotions during that time. And I won't lie to you, like I was feeling better. My chest wasn't tight anymore. I had some tools. And what I was doing then was very beneficial. And I'm glad I did it. And those were great first steps. And it wasn't enough to carry me through what happened in May of 2023. In May of 2023, that is when my dad passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. And as I'm sitting here recording, I can hardly believe it's almost been 3 years. But I knew because of the small steps that I had taken in 2020 that that experience of my dad passing, I knew I could not carry that without help. And so I found someone to help. And I saw someone for a couple of sessions and they were very helpful. Then I switched to someone else because it was a better fit. And the modalities that Jada, I've talked about her on the podcast before. I switched to Jada. The modalities that Jada uses, her methods, I just really jived with, and they were really, really helpful for me. They were also really hard, but they were so incredibly helpful. And so I guess the moral of this story for my fellow community members here in the Sandhills who have been through the trauma of these fires, and to anyone else, literally anyone else, you don't have to have been through a fire, okay? It can be if you just feel like something is off, or even if you don't feel like something is off, even if you want to just explore therapy or guidance or counseling or coaching or whatever it is preemptively, that's cool too. But what I'm saying here is it is 1000% okay to reach out for help. There is zero shame in seeking help. Zero shame. If you're feeling shame about having to ask for help, reach out to me. We can talk more about that. The truth is, we humans, we're not designed to do this by ourselves. We cannot carry the weight of everything by ourselves. So having someone to talk to sit with us and listen without trying to change anything for us, to be there in whatever it is with an open heart and an open mind and provide a safe space, that's huge. That's huge. We're not meant to do this all alone. So again, whether you have been through the fires or some other traumatic event, or life has just been a lot right now, or you just want to get a jump on things and build a really solid foundation for your mental and emotional health, it's okay to reach out to someone. And if you don't know who to reach out to, if you're like, I do feel like I need to talk to somebody, but I have no idea where to start, you can reach out to me. You can shoot me a DM. You can check the show notes. I'll have a link with a sheet that Victoria, who was on a few episodes ago, has put together for us. But please, please, please don't do this alone. We're not meant to. And it is more than okay to ask for help. And with that, until next time, draw a good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.